Hey guys, welcome to Staying Strong with Ashley. What a crazy January for me, honestly. It's been a while because I had to take some time to kind of deal with some emotions I've been having. Last week on the 21st was the 10-year angelversary, so it was 10 years since my daughter, Lillian Jean, or Lily, had passed away. And that was hard. It was hard for me. It was really difficult. And it was difficult for many reasons. Not only had it been 10 years, and what does that look like 10 years ago compared to now, then there was a lot of emotions in regards to me being an aunt and, all these things and things that I didn't get to have, things that I wish I could have, things, I wish I could celebrate specifically with her and etc. But so it was really emotional. It was an emotional time, and I know certain milestones tend to be emotional in general. And so when we get to some of these milestones, it's easy for us to go back to what we wish we had, with regards to who we've lost. For me, like, I wish I was able to actually see her blow out a birthday candle and to give her gifts and to spend that specific time with her. And unfortunately, I don't really get that. I don't get that with any of my kids, and the time that I had with her was very limited. Um, but then I also think about the the place of where I'm at now versus 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I was in such a bad time after it happened. I just had a lot of postpartum depression. I was sad, I was confused, I was hurt. Even now, sometimes I'm hurt. And I'm hurt because all of these things, the reasoning as to what happened, is just an easy fix. It's just so easy for me to see that it could have been prevented, and yet it didn't. Yet it was not prevented, I guess. That's the best way I can say it. And so I can feel really hurt, and maybe like I'd missed out. Um, the problem with staying in that hurt is that it's hard to get out. It's hard to get out of that hurt. It's hard to get out of the sadness. It's hard to get past the emotions, and it's hard because it's so overwhelming. And for me, this last week was so overwhelming with different emotions. I felt like I couldn't even control it. I couldn't understand the emotions. There was sad, there was anger, there was hurt, there was happiness, there was relief, there was, you know, um, confusion, and there was just so many emotions. It was like almost super hard to express. And it was even harder to understand which one to go to and how to work through it. And I think that with these milestones comes an opportunity for us to lean on each other, to lean on other people, but also for us to think back. If I thought back about what my life would look like if Lily was here and it was 10 years, where would I be? What would that look like for me? Um, the other thing is that I was so upset that I didn't get to know her. I don't know anything about her, honestly. Every one of my pregnancies and children loved breakfast food. That's as far as I was able to fully get with them. I mean, they loved pets because the pets are always around, but in general, I didn't get to see what she liked, what she didn't like, what movie she would have loved, there's just so many things that I missed out on. And so that was really hard. And I had to talk with a therapist about it, and then it came down to imagining things that she would have liked, things that I get to now imagine. And it's imagining of the ability to use my imagination and my opportunities of who I was when I was younger and who she could be or would have been, you know? Personally, I loved Little Mermaid. I still love it. It's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. But I think that my daughter probably would have liked Brave. Brave is such a great movie. It's such a movie of not just an Ireland sort of thing, you know, the red hair, but also in the sense of just becoming your own and realizing that no matter how angry we get at things, that the way we perceive that and go to it can really lead to different consequences that could lead, you know, almost deadly. If you haven't seen the movie, it's pretty good. So, but I was able to take different aspects of my own life and my imagination and kind of create what I thought she would be, who I thought she would maybe look like, what she would wear, different aspects of that, and kind of go from there, and just build it. And I realized that even though I don't get the opportunity to fully see what she would have wanted, what she liked, I get the opportunity to imagine though. And I get to imagine anything. I get to imagine her in college. I get to imagine her, you know, maybe being a doctor or a vet or, you know, working in finance. Like, I can imagine so much more. And I had been limiting myself from that imagination. I had been limiting myself from growing into seeing who she might be because I didn't know who she could be. And she can be anything, right? She could and still can be. And I think that's important for all of our relationships when it comes to our children. There's so much imagination we have for our kids that no matter who they are, we love them and we just want them to do what makes them happy and to do things that they like. And unfortunately, even though I don't get to see that personally, I get to imagine it on a separate level. And so I also get to see it with my niece, who just recently got born, with my nephew, who's going to be born in a few months. And so it's just realizing those imaginations, although hard that I don't get to do things personally, but easy to see how great it is to grow with that. I think another thing that's on my mind is how much I've been limiting myself. I've limited myself into thinking that I need to not make people uncomfortable anymore. It is my job to not make people uncomfortable. And that's my limitation. I have a lot of emotions with my kids. I talk about them a lot and yet, well, not a lot, but enough that I want people to know. I want people to know about my kids because they're a blessing to me. They may not be here on earth and it really is an uncomfortable topic for most people. Death is. But I love my children. I do. I love them so much. And as any proud parent, you want to talk about them and you want to tell people. And yet my story is so different that it's hard for me to talk about that. And I think that when I step back and realize that I am placing the potential emotion someone else would have on myself, I'm not able to actually speak the truth and to actually open up about what's needed. I'm so afraid sometimes that people aren't going to like something. People are going to be unkind. People are going to be so uncomfortable they're going to walk away. I'm so afraid that anything I do and say with regards to my children, that it's just going to be a huge inconvenience for them and so uncomfortable for them that they'll never be my friend. They'll never want to talk to me again. And part of that's because it's happened, right? It's definitely happened to me. I can't lose 3 children and not have this happen. You know, like, people are uncomfortable. People have stopped talking to me. People have decided that I was not worthy of their time because it made them hurt or made them this or whatever. But I can't take on that emotion anymore. And so you can't take on that emotion for someone else. We can't take on other people's emotions of what they might think what they might think for what I'm going through, because it's not our responsibility. People are going to be unkind. People are going to think that it's awkward. Sometimes it's awkward for me to just say, hey, I'm doing this, or I'm saying this, or whatever, and it can be awkward for them because they don't know what to say, they don't know what to do. The problem is, how do we work through that awkwardness, or how do we work through that? And the only way to work through that is to say, I need to do this for myself. And as someone who's very outwardly focused in making sure people are okay, it's so hard. It is so hard. And yet, it's what's needed. When I honor my children, I need to say, this is what I need, this is how I'm honoring them, and to not worry about what other people think as much, right? I'm still going to. It's still gonna happen. I'm still gonna care. But I also need to take care of myself and how I honor them so that I can help other people grow and grieve and be a part of something magnificent. Child loss is incredibly a topic that no one wants to talk about. Death is something people rarely talk about. Child loss, to lose a child, no one wants to talk about that. Because no one wants to think, hey, this could happen. How could this happen? And honestly, if I'm being real, I never ever thought that something like this happened in the world until it happened to me. And so that's what happens, right? When we know someone or see someone, that could happen to me, or that's what this is. Like, people have this happen, and it's true. But we don't talk about it because, oh no, like, I don't want to feel upset. I don't want to make that person cry and then make them hurt again, even though that's not true. I don't want to think about that this could actually happen at all. Even though around the world, it happens a lot. A lot. 1 in 4 women have a miscarriage. 1 in 4. You know how many people are in this world? And it's 1 in 4 that have a miscarriage or stillbirth? I mean, it happens a lot. And yet we're sitting here trying to not make other people uncomfortable about a topic that is already around. You know, we can't stop this. And, you know, when we sit there and try to take on other people's emotions, take on other people's energies, try to make it better for them, it doesn't help us grow. It doesn't help me grow. And I have to be the one to speak up to say, hey, this is how I'm going to honor my child. This is how I'm going to grieve my children. This is what I'm going to do. And if you aren't able to take on this emotional journey with me, or if you aren't able to have the opportunity to see my growth, then that's okay, right? That's okay. It's okay that you don't have that, because some people can't take it. But also, don't hinder me from doing what I need to do to help myself and to help my children and to help me grieve and help me honor the best way I know how. Over the past 10 years, I have learned so much in general, and I feel like this year has just been crazy. And so one of the things I've noticed is how much we try to not talk about things. Just completely. Like, we just don't talk about it. We don't talk about death. We don't talk about depression. We don't talk about anxiety. We don't talk about our feelings. There's so many things we don't talk about, you know? And why? Why do we not talk about these things? Why are we not open about talking about them? Because we need to be each other's advocates. We need to stand together and say, hey, this is a reality. Things happen, and I need other people in my life to go through it and work through it and to just be there. And yet we're sitting here alone because society thinks we shouldn't do something. It's not society's choice anymore. We can't live by what society always says, what's good and bad in regards to death or mental health. Because if that's the way it's going to be, we're not going to work through it, and we're not going to get better, and we're not going to, you know, try to understand it. And I think that's important. It's important that when we have the opportunity to bring out someone else's connection and their ability for understanding and their ability to realize they're not alone, then that's what we're doing right. You know, I don't want other people to go through anything I've been through. I know there have been a lot of people who've had multiple miscarriages, multiple stillbirths, and although mine is a lot different than yours, we are still similar in having some of these experiences. And we need to stay together. We need to open up with each other and open up with others around us, because there's no way we can get through it alone. And no matter how many times we feel like we're going to be awkward or uncomfortable or I don't know what to do, because you know what you want to do. You know what you want to do. But you don't know if it's going to make someone else okay or not. And so you don't do it because of them. And yet it doesn't help you. And so we need to just break out of that shell, break out of that that mindset that we're responsible for other people's feelings, because we're not. We can't take on other people's feelings for something that happened to us, you know? So I just wanted to say a few things about that, especially since with it being 10 years, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of things happening, and so thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions or comments, please comment below. If you have the opportunity to have some big revelations for yourself, definitely comment below. Click and subscribe, and let me know if there's anything else that I should talk about or open up to. So thank you, and have a wonderful day.